we had an emergency and now we're going to finish this turning. Hi, I'm Kent and welcome to Turn a Wood Bowl. Yes, we had an emergency. We had to get this log cut down and rough turned to these shapes before this wood split and cracked apart. This is fruit wood and this happens to be avocado. Well, any fruit wood basically loves to crack apart and just turn into firewood very, very fast. So if you get your hands on a piece of fruit wood, you must process it very quickly. Now these have had some time to dry. They're relatively lightweight. There's still moisture in them. Remember, all wood has moisture in it, but they're relatively dry and you can see that they've deformed a little bit. The sides have come down, which makes the center pith area look as if it's risen up, but actually the sides have pulled down a little bit. Now these might deform a little bit more after we do the turning today, but they're not going to deform that much. It's not going to be that noticeable. Most of the warping and the distorting has already occurred. So we're ready to do the twice turning of these, and boy, these look not so appealing right now. Let's see what we can do when we put it on the lathe and do the final turning. All right, I'm going to mount this to the lathe using my jam chuck. Now the nice thing about doing twice turnings is you're splitting the workload. When you do the rough first turn, it doesn't really take that long because you're not really spending a lot of time trying to get the shape just perfect. Now I'm taking this jam chuck, which is not turning completely true, and just cleaning up the face of it. That way the contact point for the bowl will be turning true now. So when you rough out the bowl on the first go, you've got this nice shape and it's plenty of material there to make the final bowl. Now I'm going to take a moment here and make sure I line up this tenon the best I can. Now this has been deformed and shaped as it's dried, so it's a little wobbly. The best way to do that is bring the tool rest over, put your finger there and find the high spot. There's the high spot right there. Loosen the tailstock and drop it down just a touch and try it again. That's pretty good. Now it's never going to turn perfectly true because this wood is distorted. So what I was saying is the nice thing about doing a twice turning is you've split the workload in half. You've got the rough bowl blank already shaped, so you've got the shape pretty much of what you're going to be doing there, and you've got the material to work with. Now you just need to finish it up. So when you do the second turning like this, it goes pretty quickly, which is nice. So I've cleaned up the side of the tenon just a little bit with my bowl gouge. Now I'm coming in with my spindle detail gouge and putting that dovetail angle on. And then I'm going to start removing material on the side of the bowl to shape it. Now it's wobbling because it's distorted. And that's perfectly fine because that's what they're going to do when they dry. So we're going to go through and true this up and make it nice and clean with the second turning. I've got a bark area there. I kind of want to get down below that. I don't want that to be on the outside of the bowl, so I'm going to take away a little more material here. I'm using my 1/2 inch 55-degree bevel swept back bowl gouge. You guys have probably heard me say that before. Now I'm going to do, I was doing push cuts there a second ago. Now I'm using a pull cut or a scraping cut. What's nice about the pull cut is it can get down into that corner right there next to the shoulder, which the shoulder is actually going to become the foot of the bowl. But I can get down in there and I can really shape this very nicely. I'm going to take my time and get a nice clean cut here. I'm also going to come up to the top here and I'm going to remove some of that material, but I'm also going to remove some of the top edge. So I've got a true top here and I want to make this a closed rim bowl. So that means the top rim will be a little narrower than the widest part of the bowl. Here I'm going to remove that material so I get down to where the top edge is. Because it's a little wobbly, it's kind of hard to see when it's rotating. There's a little extra material on the bottom of this tenon. I want to get that out of the way so it doesn't get stuck in the bottom of the chuck. I want that to have a good clean mount in the chuck. Okay, so that's looking really good. Now that outside rim, I'm going to clean that up when I reverse this over into the chuck. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off the jam chuck. I also put a piece of high density foam in there to prevent the jam chuck from scraping up the inside of the bowl. It's really not so much of a factor now because we're going to clean out the bowl, but it's something I just kind of get in the habit of doing. Now I'm mounting this to the lathe and I've got a good wobble. One of the things I can do is loosen this up and rotate it a quarter of a, or just a small amount, and see if it rotates any smoother. And it's still got a good wobble in it. So what we're going to do, when you get in this situation, I have a lot of people ask me this frequently, like what happens when I put this in my chuck and it's vibrating? Well, what you can do is what I'm doing here is I'm using a shear scraping cut to start truing up that outside. Now, the reason I'm doing that is I want to make this bowl thin. If I just start clearing the inside of this bowl and I make it relatively thin, there's a chance I could go through the wall on one side, or at least have a really thin wall on one side and a thick wall on the opposite side. And I don't want that. I want it to be evenly thin. I want it to look nice and smooth. So I have to have a true outside first. So I'm using this scraping shear cut on the exterior. Now I'm just working the top area of the bowl right now. And the only thing I'm taking off are the high spots. So I should have a relatively true and smooth turning right there, but below that it's still wobbly. So I'll just work my way down, and I'm putting pressure down into the tool rest. I'm not pushing the tool up against the bowl itself. If I do that, the tool's going to bounce around and it's not really going to true it up. So I true up that area and then blend it in with the top area that I just trued up. And then I'll work down a little bit farther until the whole outside is turning perfectly smooth. So the whole idea is we're just taking away the high spots and then smoothing up the exterior of the bowl. I'm going to work all the way down here. If you can see, there's a little bit of unevenness down there as well. The scrape and the shear scrape on the outside of the bowl are great because they just take away the high spots. They don't take away a ton of material. If I try to do a push cut here, there's a good chance I'm going to remove a lot of material. Plus a push cut here is going to be an unsupported cut, which is a whole different thing. Okay, now I said I wanted to make this a closed rim, so I need to bring this side back, or bring the top back to the high spot here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to initiate that angle. I don't want that hard edge there between the nice curve at the bottom and the top. So I'm going to use a shear scrape to ease up that transition. And I want this curve to feel like it's coming from the bottom of the bowl, wrapping around and going right up to the rim. It's a good idea to step back and look at this angle. You visually, when you're turning, you can look across the top of the bowl so you're seeing the whole shape instead of looking right at the tool. You can see how that curve is nice and fluid, but the rim is slightly narrower than the widest spot of the bowl. Now I'm going to sharpen my gouge because I'm going to do some really fine cuts up along the rim. I'm going to shape the rim and get the wall thickness set up. I've got a course all about tool sharpening, and if you're having any trouble sharpening your tools, this course is for you, and it's going to make things so much easier. As a matter of fact, if you're thinking about taking any of my courses, I recommend taking this one first, because once you have sharp tools, it makes everything else easy. And what I'm doing here is sharpening is in real time. So once you have your system set up, it doesn't take long at all, and you're done. You've got a really nice sharp tool. You can go back to your turning and make really clean cuts. So what I'm doing here is shaping the rim. Whatever you want to do with the shape, if you want to curve it or whatever you want to do, in this case I'm doing a downward slope down into the bowl. Then I'm going to position the bevel of the bowl gouge parallel with the exterior of the bowl, and I'm going to determine my wall thickness. I want it to be thinner than what it is there, so I'm going to make a very light pass. Now you can also see that the size of this bowl gouge compared to the bowl itself is pretty large, and when I come around that corner, the heel is rubbing, and what it's doing there is it's going to leave tool marks on the inside of the bowl. You can see them right there. See the little grooves or those little lines? That's the heel touching. And there's a little trick we can do to resolve that. I'm going to go back over to the sharpening station, and I'm going to use my more coarse wheel, which is 80 grit, and I'm going to take that heel down. If you notice the width of the bevel there when I just started, it was somewhat wide, and by taking this heel and grinding it down, I'm going to have a much narrower bevel. I'm still going to be riding the bevel when I make the cut, but the bevel will be able to turn a tighter corner without rubbing the heel. Now you can see how much narrower that bevel is. It's a very simple technique to do. Doesn't take long at all. And just get that heel down. And as you're sharpening the tool over time, that heel will become wider again. You can remove the heel more if you need to. So now you can see those little lines in there up towards the top. If I make a really light cut, I can go ahead and remove those tool marks and make a nice tight curve here without having the heel rubbing and adding more tool marks. I don't want tool marks inside there. All right, so I'm going to continue the shape of the exterior of the bowl. Remember, we're mimicking the exterior of the bowl. We want the wall thickness to be even throughout. And you know you've got a closed rim bowl when you see shavings flying around inside the bowl that don't leave the bowl. They're trapped inside there. Now I stopped a little bit short. There's still a high spot in the center there. Just want to check the thickness, make sure I'm not going too far too quickly. And we'll finish up the interior. Just let the tool do the cutting there in the center. All right, that looks really good. Now I'm going to sand this. I'm going to sand through the various grits. I start at 120, go to 180, 240, and 320, which gives a really nice smooth final surface. And now I'm going to mount this again in the jam chuck so that I can remove the tenon and shape the foot of the bowl. This jam chuck I'm using requires the next size of 4-jaw chuck to hold it in place. I'll go ahead and put that foam back in. And because we have the tailstock mark there, I can just line up that hole where I was mounted before, and I should be turning true at that point. All right, that looks good. Then I'm going to use my 1/2-inch 55-degree bevel swept back bowl gouge and use push cuts into the headstock to remove the tenon. The reason we want to do push cuts into the headstock is it causes the least friction or issue with knocking this piece off. If I made all passes like this, which are 90 degrees to the mounting, I could have issues. You can see how light I'm making this pass. I'm going to switch over from my 1/2-inch bowl gouge to my spindle detail gouge here. And I'm going to undercut this nub. There's not much of a foot that I have here, but I am making sure that the inside of this foot is recessed so that the outside of this circular rim will be the only thing touching the tabletop. And I'm going to cut this as thin as possible and apply a little bit of forward pressure while I turn off the lathe. I'm going to turn the lathe off and apply pressure right here, and it's going to shear that nub right off. Just back the tailstock up, and there's our bowl. It's looking pretty good. It's a fun shape. I love the closed rim shape. It just has such a natural appearance. So I'm going to apply some tried and true Danish oil to this. It's really going to bring out the grain and the color of this wood. Again, this is avocado. Remember, the fruit woods, they will crack. If you get a chunk of fruit wood, make sure that you process it quickly. It's beautiful too. This goes for black cherry, walnut, all of them. All the different woods that have fruit or nuts, they tend to want to crack very quickly. So you want to process them as fast as you can. That is absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. Look at the beautiful grains growing through there. I'm very happy. I'm happy with the shape. I'm happy with the wall thickness as well. Okay, here's the final piece, and I think it turned out pretty nice. What do you think? I think it looks good. It's a fun little shape. I love how this curve comes around. It has a slightly closed rim. But the most important part of this entire exercise is the fact that we took this rapidly from a log. If you remember, we took that log and we processed it down to this roughed first turning that looks like this, and then we converted it into this nice thin final piece. And by doing so, we prevented a lot of cracks and we made this piece usable. There's a good chance, had I waited maybe a couple weeks with that log and just left it sitting around, I wouldn't have been able to turn a bowl like this. It would have cracked completely up and it would be only good pretty much for firewood. And we really don't want that. So just remember, if you get your hands on a piece of fruit wood, anything that produces fruit, for whatever reason, that wood loves to crack quickly. So be sure to process it fast. If you can get it down to a roughed bowl blank like this, you're going to have the best luck of preventing cracks. And then once this dries and has had a chance to equalize or get very close to very, very low water content, then you can turn it into something like this. And the beautiful part is this nice round shape is going to stay nice and round because it's already done its warping in this stage. So keep that in mind. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Have you guys ever done a twice turn bowl like this? If you have, leave me a comment below and tell me about it. Tell me what you experienced when you did a twice turning. And while you're down there, do me a favor and click that like button. Thank you. Be sure you're subscribing if you're not already subscribing, and click that bell. That way you'll be notified each time a new video comes out because you don't want to miss any of these. I've got tons of information about turning wood bowls over at my website, turnawoodbowl.com. Basically, anything you want to know about turning wood bowls, you'll find it there, including online courses, which you can sign up for and start right now. And I've got a new course over there that I think you're going to like, so you're going to want to get over there and check it out, turnawoodbowl.com. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. And as always, until next time, happy turning.